She had warned them to stay away, but they ignored her, so she made sure they never tried again. At 42, Tasha Williams had worked tirelessly for everything she owned. She took great pride in her home, a stunning 2-story house in Chandler, Arizona, with a backyard that was her personal retreat. Towering palm trees lined the fence, and at the heart of it all was her greatest treasure, a crystal-clear, perfectly maintained pool. She wasn't one to boast, but she had every right to be proud. She had purchased the house entirely on her own, no favors, no shortcuts, just years of hard work, saving, and wise decisions. Her neighborhood was a mix of longtime residents and new homeowners, some outgoing, others more reserved. Tasha didn't mind. She wasn't trying to be the neighborhood favorite, she just wanted a peaceful life. But that peace didn't last. The first time it happened, she let it slide. One Saturday afternoon, she returned from running errands and noticed wet footprints leading from her backyard gate to the sidewalk. At first, she thought maybe it was the landscaper or a utility worker, but then she saw it, a dripping wet towel, carelessly thrown over her fence. She checked the pool. The water level was lower, her pool float was moved, and a half-empty soda can sat on her lounge chair. Someone had been in her backyard. She took a deep breath, trying to give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe a kid jumped the fence and panicked when they got caught. But when she asked around, she got nothing but casual shrugs from the neighbors. "Oh, it's probably just one of the kids," one woman said with a laugh. "You know how they are." Another neighbor, a man in his S, barely looked up from his car as he said, "They're just having fun. You got a nice pool, Miss Williams people." Notice the way he said it bothered her, but she didn't push. She just tightened the lock on her gate and hoped it wouldn't happen again. But it did a week later. She was sitting in her living room when she heard splashing. At first, she thought maybe she left the pool filter running, but then laughter. She walked to the back door and peeked outside. There, in her pool, was a teenage boy, casually swimming as if he owned the place. A girl, probably his sister, sat at the edge, dipping her feet in. Tasha flung the door open. "Excuse me." The kids jerked up, eyes wide. The boy scrambled out of the water like a caught fish. I thought," he stammered. "We didn't think you'd mind." "You didn't think to ask?" Tasha snapped. "Who even are you?" The girl mumbled something about living 2 houses down before they bolted out the gate. Tasha stood there, dripping towel in hand, heart pounding. She wanted to let it go, but then came the excuses. The next day, she confronted the kids' parents, expecting an apology. Instead, an argument. "Oh, come on," the mother scoffed. "They just kids. It's hot. What's the big deal?" Tasha stared at her, stunned. "The big deal," she said slowly, "is that this is my property, my home, my pool. And I don't remember giving out invitations." The father, arms crossed, muttered, "You're being dramatic." Dramatic. That was the word people love to throw around when they weren't the ones being disrespected. Tasha bit back the words she really wanted to say. Instead, she installed security cameras. Maybe that would send a message, but it didn't. The problem was just getting started. The security cameras worked for about 2 weeks. At first, the neighbors backed off. No more footprints, no more wet towels, no more uninvited swimmers. Tasha thought, maybe, just maybe, she had made her point. But then on a scorching Saturday afternoon, she pulled into her driveway and noticed something strange. Her side gate, the one she always kept locked, was slightly open. She stiffened. A bad feeling crept up her spine as she walked around back, and there it was, her yard, packed with people, not just kids, grown adults, lounge chairs, taken beer bottles on the ground. Someone had even set up a folding table with snacks, and her pool full. A couple of women were waiting waist deep, chatting like it was their own backyard. A man leaned against the pool ledge, grinning as he sipped a drink. For a second, Tasha thought she had lost it. Was this real? She took a step forward, scanning the crowd, and that's when she locked eyes with one of her neighbors, Sandra. From 3 houses down, Sandra, who had never spoken to Tasha before, waved like this was some casual get-together. "Hey, girl, hope you don't mind," she called out. "It was so hot today we figured we'd cool off." Tasha's jaw tightened. "Mind?" Oh, she minded. Her voice came out, sharp and steady. "Every single one of you, get out." Now, some people froze. Others exchanged. Looks like she was overreacting. Sandra scoffed. "Oh, don't be like that. It's just a pool. You weren't even home." Tasha stepped forward, her anger bubbling. "Just beneath the surface. It's not just a pool. It's my pool, my house, my yard. You don't live here. You don't pay for this. So get out, all of you." Someone muttered. "Jazz. What's her problem that did it, Tasha?" Stormed to the pool equipment box. Grabbed the remote and shut off the pool filter, then she yanked the power cord too. The speaker's silence. "I'm calling the police," she announced, now that got them moving. Drinks were snatched, towels wrapped up, and in a matter of minutes, her yard emptied. Sandra, though, had the audacity to roll her eyes on the way out. "You don't have to be so uptight," she muttered. Nobody was hurting. Anything, Tasha wanted to scream instead. She stood stone-faced, watching as they shuffled out like nothing had happened. She slammed the gate behind them, locked it, and stood there, hands on her hips, fuming. But she knew one thing for sure. This wasn't over. They had zero respect for her, and if respect wasn't going to stop them, something else would. Tasha had tried everything, talking, reasoning, cameras, locks. None of it worked. So now, it was time to get Kriya. She sat at her kitchen table staring at the security footage from earlier that day. The nerve of these people, the way they acted, so entitled, like her property was theirs to use whenever they pleased. She wasn't just angry anymore. She was done. And if they wanted to keep treating her pool like the neighborhood water park, she was about to make sure their next visit would be their last. First, she made a trip to the hardware store. She picked up 2 heavy-duty locks, one for the side gate, one for the pool equipment box. The old ones were strong, but these unbreakable. Next, she went online and ordered a special chemical treatment for her pool. Not chlorine. Something stronger. It wasn't dangerous. Just a harmless, but highly effective trick used by public pools to expose rule breakers. A little something called pool dye, a harmless chemical that turns the water bright green if someone pees in it. Yep, if even one of those freeloaders tried to use her pool again, they'd leave looking like a radioactive alien. But that was just the start. Tasha wanted insurance, something that would make them think twice before ever stepping foot in her yard again, so she went to a local sign shop and had a custom pool sign made the next morning. She drilled it right onto her fence, where everyone could see. "Warning, pool chemically treated for unauthorized use. Exposure may cause rash, severe itching, or temporary skin discoloration." Did it sound a little extreme? Sure. Was any of it actually true? Nope, but they didn't know that. And just to sell it, she placed an empty, hazardous chemical container near the pump, something she picked up from a friend who worked in maintenance. Now all she had to do was wait, and it didn't take long. The next hot afternoon, she sat by her window sipping iced tea, watching it. Was quiet for most of the day until she saw a couple of teenagers walking past her fence. They stopped, read the sign. One of them whispered something, then pointed at the chemical container. Within seconds, they turned right back around and walked away. Tasha smirked. Later that night, Sandra, the same entitled neighbor from the last pool party, was walking her dog when she spotted the sign. She squinted at it, then pulled out her phone and started typing. Tasha checked Facebook a few minutes later, and there it was. A neighborhood group post that read, "FYI, looks like Tasha put some kind of weird chemical in her pool. Says it causes rashes and skin issues." Not sure how safe that is. Just a heads up, the comments rolled in OMG. What? If it leaks into the ground? That doesn't sound legal. Why does she even care so much? It's just water. Tasha laughed out loud. They were mad not because she was lying, not because they got caught, but because they realized their free ride was over, and if they wanted to test her, they were more than welcome to try for the first time. In months, Tasha finally felt at peace. No more random towels, no more strangers. Lounging in her yard, no more entitled attitudes. Her plan worked. Or at least, she thought it did, but then the knock came. It was a Thursday evening when she heard its sharp, impatient banging on her front door. She sat down her drink and peeked through the peephole. Sandra, arms crossed, looking pissed. Tasha sighed. Here we go. She opened the door, keeping her face calm. Yes. Sandra didn't waste time. We need to talk. Tasha raised an eyebrow. Do we? Sandra huffed. Look, I don't know what your problem is, but people are saying you put some kind of dangerous chemicals in your pool. Tasha blinked, then smirked. I did, she said smoothly, to keep out uninvited guests. Sandra's jaw clenched. You can't do that. What if a kid touches the water? Tasha folded her arms. A kid who broke into my yard? Sandra faltered. That's not the point. It's exactly the point. Tasha shot back. I told people to stay out. They didn't listen. So I took precautions. Sandra scoffed. You're ridiculous. You don't even have kids. It's just sitting there going to waste. Tasha tilted her head. So because I don't have kids, that means my pool is up for public use. Sandra rolled her eyes. Oh, come on. Don't act like. Tasha cut her off. No, you. Come on, Sandra. You and the rest of these people have some nerve. You don't pay for my water bill. You don't clean my pool, but you expect to just help yourselves. Sandra's face turned red. Well, if you weren't so unfriendly, maybe people would actually like you. Tasha laughed. A deep, genuine laugh. That's your problem, Sandra. You think being liked means letting people walk all over you. Sandra opened her mouth, closed it, then shook her head in frustration. You know what? Forget it. She turned on her heel. Enjoy being the mean neighbor. Tasha called after her. Enjoy using your own hose this summer. Sandra stomped off. Tasha shut the door, smiling to herself. They were mad, but they had finally gotten the message. And just to be sure, she took things a step further the next morning, adding one final measure: a motion-activated sprinkler system along the fence. If anyone tried sneaking in again, they'd be met with an ice-cold surprise. But the best part? She never even had to use it because no one dared to try again. The freeloaders were officially done. After months of frustration, Tasha finally got her peace back. Her pool was hers once more. The backyard was quiet, and the sense of entitlement was gone. And the best part? She never even had to call the police because that was never her goal. She wasn't trying to create drama or make enemies. She just wanted what was hers to be respected. But here's the thing: some people don't respect boundaries unless they're forced to. Tasha had been patient. She had warned them, asked nicely, even given them chances, but they ignored her every time. Yet the moment she changed the game, they backed off. Because at the end of the day, people will take as much as you allow them to. Whether it's your time, space, energy, or even your own swimming pool. If you don't set boundaries, someone will take advantage. So, was Tasha being petty? Maybe. But was she wrong? Not at all. What about you? Have you ever had to stand your ground when people tried to take advantage of you? Or better yet, how would you have handled this situation? Drop a comment below and let's talk. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. Thanks for watching, and remember, respect is earned, not given.